One thing that I like when you have kids, say 18 or so, or quite a few years less than 18 or so, is to think in terms of a 529 gift. In other words, prepare them for going off to college. If you have one that's older than 18, you really don't have much time to earn money in a 529 for their college education. You might as well go ahead and give them the money because there's not much earning time left. But you can give a child you can make a contribution to a Roth 401k. In order to make contributions to a Roth, one must have earned income. Let's say that a child does have earned income, but not enough sufficient to be making donations to a Roth account. What you can do is give them, say, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 as a gift, and then they can turn around and put that gift into the Roth IRA or 401k, but only so long as they have that much money of their own in earned income. In effect, you're replacing their earned income for them to put in a Roth IRA or 401k. What you need to be very careful of in gifting young people money or investments is maintaining control of that money so that they don't use it for purposes that are unintended to be used. In addition to a 529, where you can easily retain control, or a 401k, and I wouldn't do a 401k until they're close to the maturity. But another thing you can do is, let's say you have a range of investments of your own, mutual funds, stock, bonds, whatever. But you could set aside a portion of one of your own investments and designate it. If you want to even go to the trouble of putting it in your will, you can do that. But designating that money to a particular child, not necessarily even for a particular purpose. That's one good thing about this approach to gifting, because it gives you control over the money, and you don't necessarily have to have it being spent on education, as with the 529, or it doesn't get tied up as a retirement type investment in their 401k or 401 IRA. So it's a good way to save money, to gift money to a child, retain total control in this case to it, but when they reach an age where they need the money for whatever purpose, education, buying something else that they need, whatever, this is a good way to do it. Just set aside a gift that involves your own investments. Well, absolutely you should. However, when you determine when the market is going to crash, please let me know so that I can dump mine too. Now, I know that was kind of a wiseacre comment, but the point I'm trying to make is you either are a market timer or you're not. And because I'm not a market timer, the position I take is to not dump stock. I'm a believer in my PDQ principles, which means that I try to buy quality stock, and I use patience in keeping that stock, which means that I don't sell stock in anticipation of a downturn. Because when you try to anticipate a correction, you're on the verge of making two mistakes. Number one, if you do sell, you're probably going to create some capital gains, which creates a tax event, or you take losses that perhaps you shouldn't have. And then when the market turns around and starts going the other direction, which it inevitably does, then you really don't know when to get back in. And oftentimes people miss 30, 40, 50% of the recovery assuming they ever get back in, but oftentimes they miss a great deal of recovery, which I call opportunity cost. My recommendation is that when you change jobs from one employer to another, both of whom offer 401ks, that you should not leave the 401k with your old employer. The reason I say that is because each employer may have different rules determining what you can do with the money in their 401k, how you can investment, and other little things. And if you leave it behind with the old employer and start a new one with a new employer, you don't really know what's taking place as time passes with your old 401k. So in my opinion, you should go ahead and roll the old one into the new one, assuming that the new employer will accept it, and they usually do. There are two ways to do this. There's the direct rollover approach, and you said you had 60 days, and you do, whether you roll it over directly or indirectly. But the best way to roll it over is directly, because in a direct rollover, the money, you don't touch the money in any manner of speaking. It rolls directly from your old employer's 401k to your new employer's 401k, and you don't run any risk of triggering taxes or penalties or whatever. On the other hand, with an indirect rollover, you still have the same 60 days. In this case, the money comes to you, and then you have to take it yourself and put it in a new 401k, and a lot of people end up not doing that, or forgetting about it, and what they run the risk of doing is triggering income tax on the rollover plus a 10% penalty if they don't get it rolled over within the 60 days. So my advice would be in order to keep track of all of your money, try to keep it in the same 401k. So when you change employers, roll your 401k money in the old employers into the new. And if you're not ready to invest it, if you're concerned about maybe the market being overbought or whatever, most 401ks have money market accounts that you can stick it in and just wait until you decide it's time to invest that money.